Jones' conspiracy theory has just become reality. The DoD directive has expanded domestic military authority to include lethal force. What this means is the Department of Defense now has the power to step in and use lethal force within US borders, even against its own citizens, when it deems lives are at risk. The scope of this authority is chilling because the directive specifically states that the decision to use lethal force only needs the Secretary of Defense's approval. Once lethal force is approved, anything can happen. For years, Alex Jones warned about martial law and domestic military control, and now we're seeing it unfold before our eyes. DoD directive expands domestic military authority to include lethal force, with the document included in the article. The Department of Defense, formerly the Department of War, Directive 524001, which came into effect September 27, expanded the authority of the military to assist in domestic law enforcement activities and exercise the use of lethal force. New provisions within the directive expands the circumstances under which the DoD can assist law enforcement, including the use of lethal force, although assassinations are forbidden. GreenMed Info reported that the 2016 version of the directive did not mention lethal force, but rather centered around intelligence gathering. Page 13 of the directive discussed the levels of authority needed for various domestic military activities. Quote, defense intelligence components may provide personnel to assist a federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency or a state or local law enforcement agency, when lives are in danger, in response to a request for such assistance in accordance with the following approval authorities, the directive said on page 13. It went on to discuss various activities, including the use of lethal force, which must have Secretary of Defense approval. And you can see that highlighted in that paragraph there, assistance in responding with assets with potential for lethality and providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. For decades, Alex Jones has been exposing domestic martial law drills and military activities revolving around domestic takeovers. Jones even created the film Martial Law 9/11, Rise of the Police State, which is very timely to go back and watch right now. We've linked it in the article. The timing surrounding this expanded authority has raised warranted concerns, particularly because it's come right before the election and at a time when many have assessed that the powers that be are provoking civil unrest, and in the case of Rep. Jamie Raskin, even outright saying that if Trump wins, we will need civil war conditions. Those are the exact words that he used. Take a listen.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody and civil war conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that.
So at this point, people should be very concerned about some of the language being used by the Democrats and some of these outright warmongering so-called leaders. At this stage of the game leading into the election, a lot of these politicians are predicting some sort of civil unrest situation regardless of the outcome. They're covering all their bases. They're essentially preparing that if Trump loses, the MAGA Republicans will rise up in civil unrest, no doubt led by a 3-letter agency asset. If Trump wins, they will create civil war conditions, no doubt led by a 3-letter agency asset. The amount of outright propaganda, infiltration, and instigation at this point in time is totally unprecedented. One thing is certain, people must be prepared for extremely volatile times, even if they themselves, like us, would never instigate violence. The current economic climate, paired with mass migration, the flow and effect of criminal cartel running rampant, potential food shortages, EMPs, World War III escalation with America's involvement, the list goes on of potential crises. In a country that succeeded in the past through a motto of peace through strength under Trump, it has quickly become a warmongering violence machine abroad, and now they are looking to turn this inwards under the Democrats. One just needs to look at the previous track record under Trump. No wars, economic growth, peace, prosperity, and a strong, respected reputation around the world. It's no wonder those seeking to destroy this nation don't want him as president again. The question on everyone's minds has been, how far will they go to stop him? Well, people may think, how much further could they go than the assassination attempts on Trump? Perhaps this expanded military authority answers that question. Do you owe back taxes? Pandemic relief is now over. The IRS